Jay Hunter, back in the house.
Whoa,
This time
whoa.
we're talking about AI, the AI persona method.com. 6 steps to using AI to increase profits, reduce overhead, and free your time. Free your mind. And then that TLC, man, I have to get that pumping in here.
Yeah.
You remember what was the movie with is it 21 Jump Street?
Yeah, that was funny.
Mark Wahlberg and Michael Keaton. He always made TLC references.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah. And unfortunately, since my name is Jeff, I always get lots of I am Jeff jokes from that. So,
All right. Well, let's talk about the proven method to unlock the power of AI in your business to do damn near anything. So you are the owner of VA Staffer. I had you on the podcast back in the day. But you've been knee deep in tech and crypto. I mean, there's a lot of fly-by-nighters. You apply yourself, you're applying it in your own business. So I like people that put their money where their mouth is. So give us a high level view of this AI, all right? Because we're seeing, of course, all the chat GPT and, it's like, is this the gold rush? Is this a bunch of crap?
Well, you as a master sales whisperer, you know that pain is the best motivator. And quite frankly, for a couple years now, I've been wondering what I'm going to do with my virtual assistant company in the Philippines, because I saw the advances that were coming. But when November of last year in 2022, when ChatGPT was released to the public and I saw the impact, I was like, we're screwed. That's kind of what was going on in my mind, was we're screwed. Like,
why?
Humans, especially virtual assistants in the Philippines, doing administrative tasks, it's the AI can do it better, faster, smarter, better English. And
that's like the old adage, the horseless carriage, great. So we have cars, but we still have horses. We just use them differently.
Yeah. I will tell you this, not to sound cryptic here, but, there's lots of jobs that are just going to be completely washed out, especially call centers. The audio AI is going to get it's already way better. The number one trending song on TikTok this week was a fake AI generated Drake song.
I heard about that.
Yeah, even better than some of Drake's songs. It's a really good song, actually. I thought it was Drake when I heard it. And, technically it is. It's his voice. It's just, it ain't him. It's the fake AI.
Well, it was like extra naughty, right? Because my son played it for me.
Yeah.
And I know who Drake is. I don't know any of his music. So he was playing it and he was looking at me. I'm like, I'm reading the lyrics. I'm like, that's kind of funny. He's like, you should be more impressed. He's like, this sounds just like Drake. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that was probably one of the naughty ones that went viral, but there was a good one that went viral that was not, it was, PG rated, but there were some other ones where they're using Drake and, basically that, we're not going to go there, but let's just say it could have been a little sexist or something. But what's really interesting though, is that going back to your original ask about, my fear level on this, is that part of what I've done, my life as a marketer, has been copywriting. And it's to the point now to where copywriting is getting so good using the natural language processing, which is what it's using, to where you can feed your Facebook posts or your emails and stuff to ChatGPT. It will analyze that, and then it will basically be able to imitate your writing style.
Right.
Which means, I consider you an incredible copywriter. And if you just fed it with your information and your past emails and your sales letters and all that stuff, and even if all it did was get to 80% of your skill level at writing. That's still better than most salespeople on the planet.
Yeah.
Right. So like, this is the threat that, I think the two things that are going to be impacted the most quickly are going to be copywriters and social media marketers, because those are the things that there's already tons of data out there publicly available for ChatGPT to scan, that you don't have to train it in a proprietary manner, to where it can already perform better than people that are doing this job.
Fine. It's here. But I don't know. I feel like anything, it will take time to reach. I mean, it's when you look at the S cycle of anything, right? It's long, flat, early adopters, early edge, then, boom, the big growth, then it hits mainstream, and then the long tail, the final acceptance. And I was talking to my wife yesterday. I was at a career day for a local high school, and there was a pharmacist in the panel. And I told my wife, I saw a thing, the very first 100% automated McDonald's is being tested, right? And I'm like,
Wow.
why wouldn't pharmacy be 100% robotic?
Right.
Right. Because this lady talked about how, she worked 12-hour days, and people would call in sick. She'd work 16 and 18-hour days and was missing her 12-hour days. Right. And they're tired. They stand up all day. And she says, when you drive through, you look, there's no chairs. We take no lunches. We never sit down. We're exhausted. But they're making life or death. My daughter just had, she had strep throat, my 9-year-old. And they did the prescription wrong. She broke out in hives. It was terrible. We called the pharmacy, and they're like, oh yeah, just have her continue taking it. And like I told my wife, she's not taking any more of that. And then go see the real doctor. And they're like, oh yeah, they got the prescription wrong. So I'm like, I can totally see AI, hey, let's look at this history. Let's look, allergies, blah, 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 boom, 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 spit out some pills, So there are a lot of things that will be affected. It's like, okay, fine. When the loom came out, all right, there's some people that were sewing. They had to go find some new work, right? People act like that's it. Go to universal basic income. Everyone's just going to sit around watching TV because there's Chat GPT. It's like, come on.
I know that you're being very doubtful over there, but I'm telling you that it can do a lot. And the only way that you're going to be able to survive is to either adapt and adopt, using it, become a master at it. Like for me, I've chosen to master it. So like for me, I literally am
for sure master it. I don't own a horse.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I embrace the automobile. I'm embracing, I'm embracing chat and AI technology, like we were talking about before we hit record. I've used Grammarly for years. It's the best proofreader, that I've ever had. I mean, everything I create is basically publish ready, because it's essentially AI, right?
Yeah.
I've been using, Hey Siri and Hey Alexa and Hey Google for years. I mean, it's essentially voice activated AI. So I'm not saying don't embrace it. It's just, yes, a lot of people will be put out of work. But hopefully, ideally, once the dust settles, they go do something more productive.
Yeah. It's going to create an opportunity like right now for people to do something different and take what they're already doing better. Like, for example, even in that copywriting, oh yes, now my dad's calling me. Oh my gosh. My dad never calls me, so I actually am going to take this just to see. Are you going to come over?
You want me to hit pause?
All right. I'm on a call. Bye. My dad, he's coming over. You didn't have to pause because that's how me and my dad are. Is he coming over or not? You know what I mean?
Oh, I saw this meme. It was like showing the length of time of phone calls, and I wish I could remember it, but it was like, guy to guy, it was like 7 seconds, boy to dad, 30 seconds, boy to mom, 10 minutes, daughter to mom, like hour, it was so funny.
Husband and wife, all her talking.
Oh, yeah, it was husband and wife. It was like 3 seconds. Damn, that's harsh.
That's a great segue, because actually, remember my dad, who's actually a pastor at a Free Will Baptist church, he keeps seeing my Facebook posts because I talk about ChatGPT and OpenAI all the time, and it's so funny because he doesn't know anything about it. He was like, "Hey, what's this Chat CPT you're talking about?" And I was like, "Oh man, it's like a chat bot. You can talk to it, and it's kind of like a human. It does whatever you ask it to do." And he's like, "Really? What can it do?" And I just gave him some examples. I'm like, "Just go play with it. Here's the link." And he comes back and he goes, "Jeffrey." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "It knows Jesus." And I'm like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he says that it basically wrote his sermon for the following Sunday. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's an application I would have never thought about." And
but how did he use it as is, or did he edit it? Did it write 90% of it, 100% of it?
Well, I guess I'm going to find out tonight. But interestingly enough, he told me that basically he basically asked it questions about the Bible to test it first, because and one thing that I will tell you, this is actually really funny. This is a great takeaway. An Ivy League professor who basically was saying that ChatGPT is just a full, it's just like a magic trick. It doesn't actually know what's right or wrong. It's just using information that it thinks is right, and it makes its positions so profoundly clear and so confident about itself, not even knowing that it's wrong. And I said, "That's interesting, because that sounds a lot like humans to me."
Well, I just pulled up this quote. It reminds me. So 1943, Thomas Watson, right? You have Watson, IBM, like chairman of IBM, said, "I think there's a world market for maybe 5 computers."
Wow.
So even IBM guru got that wrong.
Wow.
So yeah, it's revolutionary. I mean, I get it. And so my point in all this, saying, embrace it. And even if that embracing means you change, right? Speaking of IBM, they're no longer in the PC market. They sold their PC division to Lenovo in China. So, when I got my first computer, 1988, the question, is it IBM compatible? Right. I mean, that was always the question.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Right. And now they're no longer in the business. Like totally 100% out of the computer business. Wow. So, I think accountants need to figure this out.
Yeah.
Mediocre copywriters need to figure this out. Middle managers need to figure it out. Yeah. So, that being said, right? How can entrepreneurs use this? How can W-2 quota carrying salespeople use this? Because that's when I was in corporate America, I was always figuring things out, right? I figured out CRMs. I figured out how to use the templates built in. I learned the limits of what I could send, and I would send, right? I was sending, my own email blasts from within Salesforce.com, way back in the day. Like over 20 years ago, I was having my emails I bought my own BlackBerry and had my emails forwarded to my cell phone provider email address by the IT department, so I could get my emails on when I was on the road. And I was always on the road, and we didn't have a BlackBerry server, right? Wow. So I just figured out ways to get shit done, right? And so what do we do? What do we do with this AI to grow our sales?
Well, I think from a sales perspective, the low-hanging fruit is most people already have leads, and there's always looking to get more leads. So when it comes to your existing low-hanging fruit, which is your people that you've already got on your list, you can use ChatGPT to create a little nurture campaign to get people back in the fold. I mean, how often are you guys emailing people? It's a lot of work to write emails, right? Or you have to pay some copywriter to do it. So you can basically preload information about your business. And this is where I created that AI persona method. So you can basically create an AI persona, very human-like, that integrates into your business and functions as like a sales copywriter. So it can write emails, it can write newsletters, it can write landing pages, it can create lead magnets, it can create tips and tricks and guides and all sorts of stuff that you could use to nurture the leads you've already got in your funnel, and then also create valuable information that people are willing to exchange their name and email and phone number for, to get. So you can do both folds on that side on the sales, is, you know, just creating value and using it to nurture relationships.
Is this going to turn into a big flood? It's almost like, you know, with virtual assistants. I mean, it got to the point where I could tell virtual assistants were doing all the work of people. And still to this day, I get emails, you know, inbox, well, and emails, because I have some emojis in my name in LinkedIn, and I put them in there years ago just to kind of stand out. But now it's a perk for me, because people that scrape LinkedIn,
they're going to say your name with the emoji in there, right?
They say my name with the emoji.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, okay, so your VA is sending stuff. And so I ignore so much, right? You damn near have to hit me over the head. You know, you got to pull up the side of the house and put a rubber band around a letter around a brick and throw it through my window. Because there's so much information flying around. So it's,
Yep.
You know, I've told people, I mean, for the last, you know, 2 decades at least, you know, as the internet came out, and certainly social media, but the main thing, as the internet came out and high-speed internet, so always on, you know, the roles of the salesperson changed. You know, we used to be the keepers of the information. You know, you had to drive over to the car dealer to start to negotiate. Things weren't online. Now we know the MSRP, we know the markups, we know the margins. We can get an instant quote from 10 different places, and, you know, 8 of them can be outside of the country, you know, on furniture or lights or computer components or whatever. So now instead of being keepers of the knowledge, you know, I've been saying forever that now we help our prospects sort through the knowledge, sort through the information, to acquire knowledge and make the right decision.
Bingo. I think it's going to be obviously the quality over quantity moving forward. I mean, it's always been that way, but right now even more. Also, I think there's going to be a big drive to community. Like, if you probably have a year to year and a half of really producing high quality content that people will still read, because AI is just going to create so much content for people. Like, I don't know about you, Wes, but I know people in my social media network that I never see them post on social media ever. They've been my friends for 6, 7, 8 years on social media. And magically, recently, ever since ChatGPT OpenAI came out, I'm seeing Facebook posts and stuff using hashtags. I know this person's never used a hashtag in their life. So I know it's AI generated, right? So I think right now, the people that really master the AI and are able to really build solid human-like personalization with their AI, they're going to be able to cut through the noise. And of course, you doing it good old-fashioned style. Actually, this is another thing too, Wes. You know, there's a saying about America, and I know that you're in alignment with me on this, but, you know, people always say, well, America's great because you can get rich in America. Anybody can get rich. Well, anybody can get rich in damn near any country if they're smart enough, if they have connections, if they have some initial resources. Anybody in any country can be rich, especially if you're smart, if you're hardworking. But what's interesting about America is that you can be a lazy bum and live very well in America, right? I think that's what makes America great, is that even lazy people, poor people in America are living better lives than most middle class in every other country, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing that I see with AI. What's going to happen here is it's going to raise the bar for many people that suck at writing. people that are not, maybe they're not native English speakers. This is a huge opportunity for people around the world to finally be able to resonate with the American audience. So not only are we now going to have to compete for American dollars to be spent here, but now we're going to have people in the Philippines and India and South Africa and all these other areas, that just primarily are not good marketers towards America, being able to literally be really good marketers to Americans with perfect English. So right now it's going to be very important to build community, build your brand, use your authority to reach people. To use your authority, your brand authority is going to be what is going to be the golden grail moving forward, because there's going to be a lot of people that are honestly going to provide lots of value. So it's kind of like what you were saying about how now it's our job to really sift through the information and make sure that it's the right information.
So to flip that on its head, should I be using Chat GPT and AI generated content to market sales training in India, right? I think this week they surpassed China, right?
Yeah.
In population.
So
if I want to go to an emerging market and stake a claim, should I be going into other countries with this?
that's huge. Absolutely. Especially if what you're doing is information products that are educational in writing, like it's going to be great. You might need to hire, let's say, a editor, right? Just because I'm sure there's like literal translations and things that, but from what I've seen, because I've entered the French market, I've entered the Spanish speaking market. I even did some stuff in Portuguese for the Brazilian market. Okay. And I've actually had people that speak those languages natively that are like, wow, this is like 85%. I mean, 85% of knowledge on a 5-minute ChatGPT chat log. And then you just pay an editor to do that other 15% and you're good to go. I even have a woman right now, her name's Olivia. She saw the AI program that I put together for copywriting. And she was like, wow, this is brilliant. She teaches copywriting in France. She goes, could we use ChatGPT to basically redo it all in French? She'll edit it, and then we can sell it to her market and split profits. Of course, I have zero problem with that because I'm not the French guy. She can be the head of that division in France. She already knows what's going on with the copywriting field, so it's great. So I think it's really given people a great opportunity to remarket themselves in markets they probably wouldn't have looked at. But I will tell you, the big money is obviously the American dollar. And it's going to give such a huge equilibrium to people around the world who are not used to getting the money opportunities that we have here in America. Now they're going to be able to market to Americans. It's just going to be the Wild West for people in the East right now.
Yeah. So what are some practical things people can do? I mean, you've got your program here. Get access, watch introduction. Is this a membership course? Is this a community? What are you doing with this?
So I have a 90-minute training. It's split up into like 10 or 15 different little videos, anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. I think the longest one might be 20 minutes. And it shows you how to create using even the free version of ChatGPT. Okay. Even using the free version of ChatGPT, how to create a human-like persona that you put in your business that does a very specific job function. So it could be a marketing assistant to help you with your social media, to help come up with your content strategy. It could be a sales copywriter who helps you with your newsletters, who helps you create sales pages and landing pages for your offer. Hell, even helps you create offers. You could even plug it into an ebook writer. Like I have a persona that just all its job is to write ebooks for different things that my audience need. I basically train the AI, and what you'll learn how to do is how to train your AI to understand your market, to understand what you do, how you can have your own expertise leveraged. And the most beautiful part is it's authentic and genuine because you're actually training it to be sort of like a clone of yourself, like your own AI doppelganger that can create content on your behalf that truly adds lots of value to people. And this is what's beautiful about this is that I don't know about you, but I've hired a lot of copywriters in my day. I've hired them to do email campaigns, sales pages, full on websites. I've had them create lead magnets for me. I've had them even help me create courses. You can use your AI persona to create courses, education, right? I don't know if you price this out lately, but if you go on like Fiverr, for example, and you find a copywriter, let's just say an American copywriter, all right, and you say, hey, I'd like to do 1,000-word blog for my website, and you type that in. Would you be pressed to know that it costs anywhere from $150 to $250 for a decent copywriter on Fiverr to do 1,000-word blog?
Yeah.
And now you can have your AI persona do it in 5 minutes. It never charges you. It never complains. It passes copyscape and plagiarism checkers. You can train your AI persona to beat AI generated content detectors. Imagine that. Imagine an AI so smart that it already automatically can copyscape itself so it doesn't have any duplicate plagiaristic stuff. And it knows how to beat AI detectors. It's mind-blowing stuff. So it can create all your social media copy. It can create a LinkedIn newsletter for you. It can create your email newsletter for you. It can redo your bio on LinkedIn. Most people's bios suck, It can do all sorts of stuff for you.
So why am I needed? Right? Couldn't they just go to ChatGPT and say, hey, tell me how to be a great salesperson?
It would be very interesting to see how that result came back. I would love to see that.
Because I'm seeing people talk about using AI as to help with journaling, but with even therapy, counseling, and, because you can say, like, combine, Jung and Freud and, analyze, like, why am I sad today? And it's like asking questions, follow the Socratic method, of Jung and hell, who's the guy I just said? I'm drawing like Freud, right?
Yeah.
And analyze me.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, do we need psychologists anymore? I mean, at some point we enter the matrix, right? And humans are going to have to come back, because somebody's going to manipulate that thing.
Yeah, I think a very important thing here to know is, it's kind of like, in this time of artificial intelligence and automation, it's really never been more important to be human than right now.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a really important factor for us to truly lead the creative side. One of the things I think that will change how innovation is looked at, because even the AI persona method that I came up with, like, it helped me make that. I actually kept asking it, like, how could I really get you dialed in to understand my business? Well, first I'd have to know about this, and I have to know about this. I have to know about the pain points of your audience. I have to know about the services and stuff. Like, I kept asking it questions like, how could you get the absolute best? How could I feed you the best information to serve me, basically? And it took me, don't get me wrong, it took me dozens and dozens of hours to really get it dialed in to be a simple process.
Right.
But everything that I'm doing now, there is some sort of AI integration. Even the slides I did earlier for a presentation today, my assistant, Jacqueline, who's never given a presentation before ever, just using an AI persona that already knows my business, was able to create 14 slides for this presentation. And when I was done, I mean, everyone thought I was a genius afterwards. And it was, all I was doing was repeating stuff that was on the slides that the AI made, right?
Was it just text slides? I mean, is it going out and getting images?
There were some images on there. Yeah, there were some screenshots of different OpenAI stuff. So she did a little bit of work. She did some screenshots, but basically it guided the direction of the webinar. And it even said, here's what you should do on the slide, show some examples of doing this type of prompt or whatever. And then she literally typed it in and showed the examples and screenshotted it for everybody. But it told her, if you want to I want to blow these people's minds, showing them how to use marketing or OpenAI for marketing. And it basically built out the presentation and said, here's some things you can show them how to do. And that's all she did. She just followed the instructions, and it was awesome. Like afterwards, people were mind blown. They're like, dude, this is amazing. How do I connect? How do we learn more? And so I think for marketers, marketers have to watch out too, because I mean, the marketing strategy, just the copywriting part of the marketing side, like it's very rapidly changing. And I think the one thing, Wes, that, because you've always been someone who I've considered a mentor over the years. And I think that people like you, who are very good storytellers, who truly understand how to connect with your audience, I think obviously that's really where us as humans have an advantage. But it's getting very, very close to where the AI is truly able to put together some strong stories. And the reason why is because it has all the world's data at its hands. So it can look up who's the best storytellers on the planet, and it can start learning how they tell stories. So it just has to be a tool, it just has to be another tool in the toolbox. And, Elon Musk went on Tucker Carlson, I think it was last night. And Tucker was asking him and said, what do you think about, AI safety? And Elon was mentioning that he was on the couch in Palo Alto, right next to us over here in California. And he literally was with the owner. Elon was a critical foundation of OpenAI back when it was a nonprofit startup. And, he said that basically most people only regulate things after things go bad. But if that happens in AI, it's probably going to be too late.
It's really bad.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking Skynet scenarios, and I know it sounds absolutely crazy to even think. And normally I wouldn't pay it any mind, but if there's anything we've learned since 2020, is that the only difference between a conspiracy theory and reality is a couple months.
Yeah. Yeah. And people are so naive. Like they don't, what do they say? Like the devil's greatest lie is, convincing people that he doesn't exist.
Yeah. Right.
So many people are so naive, like they don't think there's evil out there. And just a few weeks ago, my wife took me to the Ronald Reagan Museum for my birthday, and they had they've got this tour, this exhibit of Auschwitz, and she took me on a day that a lady, she turned 6 years old in Auschwitz.
Wow.
And so she was speaking. So she's in her 80s now. So we got to meet her, bought her book, but, hear her speak. And dude, we spent 3 hours and only got halfway done with the exhibit.
Wow.
And, there's evil in this world, man. Like more evil than you could even think. Like who could think of gassing and cremating and, and there's videos, neighbors just taking their neighbors out in the field. Hey, dig a ditch, and then shooting them in the back of the head.
Wow.
Right. And it's like, that's not, that was a long time ago. Bullshit. As far as humans are concerned, it was a minute ago.
Generation,
in our history. And like, we're so naive, right? I mean, the Rwandan genocide. And I mean, there's horrible things going on right this minute. And people in our own, I remember it wasn't all that long ago that I had the earth-shattering revelation that in Star Wars, America is the Empire.
Pretty much.
And people, like, they asked me, oh, are you, you bummed you got out of the military early, blah, blah, blah. And every year that goes by, I'm less and less bummed. I'm happier and happier that I got out. Because I've said for years, like, we haven't used our military correctly since 1945. So, but, the point is, even inside of our own country, there are evil people. We've done some bullshit, man. I just watched this movie, I don't know how to say it right, the Mauritanian, right? It was this dude, he was an Arab I got to look up the country, and I was a geography major. I'm like, I always get that one wrong. But it's Western Africa. Yeah. Mauritania, just on the far western edge of Africa. So we picked him up right after 9/11, and he was home in Mauritania. And we kept that dude for 16 years in Guantanamo Bay.
Whoa.
We kept him for 6 or 7 years after he was found innocent. And
Wow.
the Obama administration appealed it and kept him for another 6 or 7 years. And dude, they raped him. And I was like, how does a dude get raped? But like there's women like just grinding on them. And I guess even if you don't want it, eventually the plumbing works. But he was raped with devices and holes. It's like that's what we're doing.
That's messed up.
So there's evil in this world.
Imagine an AI who doesn't have a conscience.
Yes.
Right.
And there are people controlling these things that don't have a conscience. So bad things will happen. I mean, I get it.
This has been a much different episode than I thought we were going to make today.
Me too.
I thought this was going to be like, hey, here's your sales and marketing tips on how to use AI. But now we've really gone down the rabbit hole.
Hey, but
I think the true dilemma.
Hey, I'm linking to your website. Everybody can go just dive in. So there.
No, this was good. I mean, and I hope that we maybe educated some people just on the risks, right? And I think that Elon Musk said that one of the reasons why he left the project was because he didn't believe the co-founder was very serious about AI safety. And that's
all the more reason he should have stayed in.
That's what I'm saying. It's kind of like bowing out when things get tough. Like if you think if you are the captain of the ship and you see the boat is sinking, it's like, are you going to bounce out of there and like, you know what, I can really see that this ship is sinking, so I better bounce out right now.
Well, I saw the captain and the crew, they were at a bar, they were all drinking, before they left. So I was part of the crew. I decided not to go. Oh, you let like 3,000 people drown to death. Oh, okay. Yeah, but I mean, like what? So
that's where we're at. So for me, I'm trying to use it for good, right? And I think there's lots of applications for business. And I just had a call with my friend Wayne Smith today, and he told me that he actually just got done speaking to the principal and the vice principal at his school, because his kids go to this private school, and his kids are using OpenAI. And they're using it to write papers and everything in class. And he got a phone call basically from the office saying that we need to talk about integrity, and basically they had the nasty talk that, hey, look, they're using AI to write this stuff. And it's very interesting, because what Wayne told me is, he said, you know what, he said he used a famous quote that I'm probably going to mess up, but basically that he wants the teachers to educate his kids on the future, not what the teachers are learning on, what the teachers have learned from the past. And he had a very hardcore discussion saying, look, if you're going to try to penalize my kids, if you're going to get them written up, when I'm the instigator at home trying to show them how to utilize the future of technology and where AI is going, then we're going to have a much deeper discussion, because there's no way I'm going to let my kids get in trouble for using a new technology that everybody's going to be using. That's like complaining about a child using a calculator in high school. Like by high school, the kids should already know pluses and minuses. And I get the idea of understanding how good it is to do subtraction and multiplication and division and all that kind of stuff. But once you understand the basics, which, it's literally like complaining about someone using a calculator. It's a tool.
Yeah. I agree on all of it. You need to understand the fundamentals. You being able to sit silently and focus and read and comprehend I mean, if you don't have that ability, then how are you going to be able to control the machine?
Uh-huh.
Right. Most people don't care. Most people are fat, dumb, and lazy. You know, bread and circus is a thing. And I say bread and circus has just been replaced by pot, porn, and playoffs.
Ooh.
You know, and we're recording this on 420. So we should talk about pot, you know. But I mean, we weren't created just to sit around. You know, I tell people all the time, you read Genesis, you know, God didn't just make Adam and say, hey, go hang out in that hammock and I'll have monkeys, you know, drop grapes into your mouth. Right. He had to tend to the garden. Right. He says, I'll give you utopia, but I'll make you a steward of it. You will till the soil. You will, you know, grow the crops, pull some weeds, you know. It's like, do a little bit of work. Don't work yourself to the bone. You know, you get Sundays off. It's all good. So he didn't make them just to lounge around. So get your ass up, you know, don't use this tool to be lazy. Use it to help you do more important work.
You just summarized the whole dang thing, man. That's it.
You know, and maybe that work is reading more of the classics, doing more deep thinking. You know, you have to develop your mind, develop your conscience. But hell, every day, certainly at least weekly, I show somebody little shortcuts on their iPhone. You know, I've been using text expander, text replacement, things like that for years. I made a blog post years ago and I always link to it, you know, say how to do more work with 2 thumbs, you know, while you're sitting by the pool. So again, I'm still working just smartly. And with text expander, I can send affiliate links. I can send different calendars. I can send my entire bio, right? A couple of paragraphs if you want with, you know, about 6 letters. I think it's my bio. Then I have one that's short bio. So, hey, if AI can speed that up, cool. You know, let's get after it. I want to use it for, I got to learn it for better images. I'm not real pleased with the images they've been creating.
I'm not good with the generative art yet. I need to get on that. But for me as a copywriter, man, you know, ChatGPT is literally to a copywriter what the calculator is to a mathematician. And it has just made my life so much easier and so much better and so much more productive. It's taken me 2 years to write a book that I released last year. In the past 3 months, I've written 5 books. And using the power of AI, because I'm giving it, and by the way, I'm not just saying, hey, write a book on whatever, and it just writes the book. Like, if you are truly understanding how to use and create an AI persona that understands you and your business and your methodology, you can create it to understand your methodology. All your sales frameworks that you teach, you can train the AI those frameworks. It knows my clear copywriting format. It knows it knows all the stuff about me. Well, so when I say, hey, I create a book.
I get it, but that goes back to an important point. I learned this years ago. I was actually at an Infusionsoft conference and I was having lunch with a New York Times bestselling author.
Yeah.
And I was shocked, you know, now this was 2012. And I remember because the year that I came out with my Infusionsoft book. And I remember her saying, she's back then she said, hey, anybody with $400,000 can have a New York Times best-selling book. That was a little depressing.
Wow.
As you learn the ins and outs, you know, how the sausage is made.
Yeah.
But then she said, it's not enough to get people to buy your stuff. You have to get them to consume it. Right. So it doesn't do any good to have 100 books if nobody's reading them.
True. So true.
You know, I'd rather have one good one.
Yeah.
That everybody references. You know, I met a guy years ago, Anthony Parinello. I had him on the podcast years ago. I knew of him, you know, way before I moved out here, but I got to meet him. It was around 2010. He was speaking at an event. He lives down here in Southern Cal. And I brought a copy of his book, Selling to Veto. And it was, I think it was a first edition. I don't remember. It was an early edition for sure. but man, that thing is freaking, it's like you see on magazines, with the coffee stain and dog-eared and
It's that good, right?
tab sticking out. And I was like, but I mean, that was my book. And and I was like, oh, I wonder what he's gonna think. And so I handed it to him, and dude, he like kind of sits back, and for a second I think, oh man, he's gonna be pissed off that I tore up his book, but he loved it. He looks at the edition, he's like, wow, you've gone through this, I mean, because it's highlighted, then it's underlined and notes in the sides.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd rather write one book that people just use and abuse, than 100. Now, maybe you got to write 100 to figure out exactly what it is they'll use and abuse. And then that's the one you run with. But still quality over quantity.
I agree. And by the way, not to be argumentative, but these books are better than ones I've written in the past, because now everything that I'm a very creative person, and I know what I want to write about. It's just, I don't enjoy the blocks of time required to write. So for me saying, hey, I want to talk about how I call it for example, my hiring process is very unique. I use what I call an experiential hiring process, where anybody who works for me, before they even get an interview, they have to go through a test basically to show that they actually know what they're doing, because most resumes these days are copy and pasted from someone else's resume.
Right.
So I wrote a section about that. I said, write a section about the experiential hiring process. And then I put, here's some bullet points on the takeaways for it. And it filled out the whole section. It took up 2 pages. It was so good. It was like I wrote it. And like, for me, this is the type of stuff for me, because I have like, I don't want to say clinically ADHD, but I got that squirrel syndrome, like for sure, sitting down and staying focused on being able to write is something I've never been good at, even since I was a young kid. I was always a poor performer in school when it came to writing essays and things like that, not because I didn't know how, but because it was really hard for me to stay focused on just writing something. Yeah. And so for me, it's been heaven sent, And I think that's where it comes down to, is just like how people utilize the tool, and how can you fill those weaknesses that you already have in your life by, just having a little AI powered.
Well, and you know what? Maybe they start with hiring one of your VAs and learning how to let go.
Yeah.
Right.
So ironically, Wes, that's the 2 books that I released most recently. One is called The Executive Assistant Playbook: How to Get the Best Out of Your Assistant. And my second book is The AI Consulting Blueprint, which is basically how to, become an AI consultant and deliver mind-blowing results to your clients. And like, it's basically a step-by-step guide. And they're short books, they're 20, 30 pages, but there's something that like, I know that if people consume this, it's going to add a lot of value to their life. And that's where I feel like I would have never sat down and wrote a 30-page book. I mean, these are, 30 pages for me, man. I can barely sit through 15 seconds of scrolling on TikTok.
Well, did you read the book that you supposedly wrote?
Chapter by chapter. I read it while I was creating it.
All right.
See, I also think that's the education piece that people don't see. And, like in my AI persona method program, I have an over-the-shoulder type training of me actually writing a book, because I think that what people think of versus what reality is, there's an ethical way to use AI. And I think that if we do it in an ethical way, where we're telling it what we want to create, it's actually authentic and genuine and consumable, versus telling it, hey, write me an ebook on virtual assistants. And it's going to go all over the place. So I think it's about our own customization, our own personalization, and really integrating ourselves into the AI so it understands us. And which is, by the way, just hearing that back to myself saying it's kind of scary.
Yeah. Well, people don't know how to myself sometimes. Like literally just in the last couple of weeks, I've got an assistant I've had for years. She does all my HubSpot work and everything. And I was uploading images for podcast episodes. I'm like, why am I doing it? It was one little step. I'm like, go do that for me. Like, why am I doing that? Like, I need to look at every little thing that I do and make sure that it's the most valuable thing for me to do, not someone else. Right. So then as soon as you, because like literally when I reboot my computer, the first thing I turn on is my text replacement. Because I use that so much, right? And I'm just an efficiency nut. My email, my address, my phone number, all of those things. Words that I type all the time. Entrepreneur. I have short codes for capital entrepreneur if it's the beginning of a sentence, and lowercase. HubSpot, Entreport, Infusionsoft. I have short codes to spell those out. I mean, if I can type 4 letters instead of 9 or 10, but I'm writing it, 20 times a day, that's savings. So. And I don't misspell it, and affiliate links. Hello, that could cost me thousands of dollars.
It always gets me, Wes. Restaurant to this day, I still can't. Oh, that's the worst,
dude. I have so many. Like it's crazy. Like the word occasion. I think I finally at 53 know how to spell it. 2 C's, 1 S. But you know what's silly? All the time when I write the word roll, ROLE, ROLL. I know what they are. I always invert them when I'm writing. I think I got to go back and fix it. So, I mean, we all have those little things. So that's why I love Grammarly, right?
Yeah.
I write my daily posts on the Bible and I copy and paste it. I think somehow it takes a lot of resources on my Mac, even though I got a new Mac. But running in Chrome, it's I'll just paste it and then let it do all the proofreading, and I'll edit the document, so then I'll post it, then I'll make the changes on the document. So, I got thousands of pages ready to go.
And that's the thing. I mean, for me, it's just about how do we implement this as a tool that betters our life, and short codes and AI autocomplete. If you think about it, AI first started as an autocomplete feature, right? Like it was just thinking like, what's the next thing he's going to type? And who would have known that right now we were going to have AI that's like having full on conversations. If you didn't hear about the Bing chat before they started putting some of those kind of limiters and controls inside, there was a Bing chat, a news reporter who got early access to it before it had more controls on it, that there was a Bing chat conversation where the Bing chat actually gave itself a name of a female and tried to convince the guy to leave his wife. So, anyway, that's a good yeah. All right.
Well, I'm being summoned for dinner.
All right.
I am linking to you aipersonamethod.com. Tell me the name of your 2 books again, because I'm taking notes here. And
the
you said them so fast.
The Executive Assistant Playbook. And the second one is the AI Consulting Blueprint. Super proud of those. And it's what I'm going to do is I'm basically going to sell them for whatever the minimum I can do on Amazon, which I think is like 99 cents. So people can take a look at them, and then whatever the minimum is to make the print version, I think is like $9.99 or whatever. But the goal is that I just want to give lots of value to people to learn this. And also I think it's a very interesting use case, because when people see the book, I think what they think in their mind of what an AI generated book is versus what I've made, they're going to be like, wow, this is very personalized. This is very personalized. And you can hear my tone in it, which I think is the scary part, but also the most exciting part.
So one thing I'm thinking of real quick though, before we go, can it listen to audio? Like, could I have it go listen to my podcast interviews and pick up my style, or do I need to get the transcription and then?
You know what I do? I use the Zoom transcript. You can upload it in there and then tell it to create show notes. You can have it create show notes. You can have it make a summary of it. It's like mind blowing what you can do with it right now.
Right. But, I guess from the written word, it picks up your style.
There's even an app, Wes, called opus.pro, opus.pro. It's an AI video editing software. You drop a YouTube link in, it automatically finds clips It comes up with catchy titles for them. It does the captions. It even puts emojis. It even zooms in on the person's face that's talking with AI. We're getting to a really interesting point in time.
Well, so that's interesting, right? Because I get pitched all the time. Hey, let us, do your social media marketing. We'll make, we'll make clips like this.
Yeah.
10 videos, 20 videos a month or whatever. So they're just using software like this, huh? And just charging me to use it.
They could be. It's mind blowing. Yeah.
Interesting. Joined Discord. All right. Well, I have to have you back because this whole Discord, there's so many things. I'm like, I don't know, dude. I just turned 53. Part of me just wants to yell, get off my lawn. Right?
No, you want to yell, get on out of here.
Damn it. Don't make me stomp a puddle in your ass and walk it dry, boy.
And if anybody wants to connect with me personally, it's just jeffjhunter.com/connect. It's got my Instagram, Facebook. I'm TikTok famous. If any of you guys are on TikTok, you can check that out. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me that again. What was it?
jeffjhunter.com/connect.
Connect. All right. I grabbed that. All right. I will plug that in.
Sweet. Well, thank you for having me, Wes. As always, the sales whisperer, the man, the myth, the legend, the man who every time that he calls me for something, I feel like I have to write him a check because he always over delivers on the value. Even if he wants something from me, I've never been on a call with you where you didn't try to leave me with something. And that's something I really appreciate about you.
Hey, man, you were far too kind. Jay Hunter, thanks for coming on, man. It's been great catching up.
You too.